This slightly chaotic mess is Chemistry AQA GCSE Revision 4, Crude Oil, in brackets hydrocarbons. So, what is crude oil? Crude oil is a mixture of compounds, the compounds of which are hydrocarbons. They're called hydrocarbons because they contain hydrogen and carbon. There are two types of hydrocarbons: alkanes and alkenes. So let's start with alkanes. So alkanes are used as fuels. They're saturated, which means they have one bond. And their formula is CnH2n plus 2. So as you can see here, n is the number you add in depending on which one of the alkanes it is. So the alkanes, the one thing about them is they all end in ane. So you got methane, ethane, propane, butane, and that has one carbon, that has two carbons, that has three, that has four. And the other type, as we were talking about, is alkenes, and they're used to make plastic. The general formula for alkenes is CnH2n, and alkenes are unsaturated, which means they have two bonds. So here, bromine water turns colourless. So if there's an alkene there, bromine water will turn colourless. That's the test for it. So the things that alkenes are end in ene. So if there's two carbons, it's ethene. 3 carbons, propene. 4 carbons, butene. So let's move on now to fractional distillation. So fractional distillation is done on a fractioning column. It involves the separation of crude oil, which creates multiple different alkanes, as they are heated, evaporate, and condense at different boiling points. Basically how it works is, at different points these will evaporate and condense in different places. So refinery gas evaporates first, and then petrol, and then kerosene, then diesel, and bitumen. You might need to remember these names and the time and the actual groups of the temperature. Though also the higher the boiling point means it's got a longer chain. So for example, bitumen would have a much longer chain than refinery gas, obviously. Long chain molecules are less flammable, less volatile, they are viscous and have a high melting point, which means they also have a high boiling point. Short chain molecules are more volatile, they are more flammable, they have a lower melting point and a lower boiling point. They're also not viscous, as opposed to that being viscous. So, cracking. What is cracking? So cracking is where you break multiple long chain molecules into multiple short chains. So this needs to be done because the supply of long chain is more than the demand. The supply of short chain is less than the demand. This could be a question. I remember it was on the actual test we did on this, the topic test. So, products. So, one alkane and an alkene add up to the original alkane. So there was originally a long chain alkane, and it was broken up into a smaller chain alkane and a small chain alkene. So I'm assuming I put those as the products, as I was going to put here the reactants. So that's heat. So you need to heat it up to cause the reaction to provide the energy. They need to add a catalyst to make it break up, and the long chain alkane, which will then be split up into two. So that is crude oil, probably one of my favourite topics on the chemistry thing. I actually like it a lot because there's not too much technical things to remember. So, okay, that was AQA Chemistry GCSE 4. Goodbye.